Everyone, we are going to start with another lecture of advanced performance management, and in this lecture we are going to mainly deal with the concept of business process reengineering and how students are supposed to attempt such theoretical question, right? So as I always say that before starting your question, it's really very important for you to read the requirement first. So the first requirement says that evaluate how the BPR proposal could improve JOLT's performance in relation to its retail customers' two key demands, right? So that means what? That means you have to focus on two areas. The first thing is that you have to search for some sort of improvement, how that improvement can be done. And since this question asks you to evaluate, you probably need to obviously justify your answer as well, because just without justification you cannot write anything. You will not get marks for that. And the second thing which you have to keep in mind is that you have to write this answer with respect to two key demands of the customer, of the retail customer. So this is something which you have to keep in your mind while writing the answer. So let's quickly start with this question. Let's see what is given here. I have also sent you the notes. So the first option is that you can read that question and mark your comments and then come to this video in order to see if you have missed any point or not. So let's quickly start with this. Jolt manufactures high quality swimwear and cycling clothes in its only factory, right? So the important thing is that companies focusing on good quality swimwear and cycle clothing in its only factory, which employs 1,000 manufacturing staff and 200 supporting staff. Its products are used by both amateur and professional sports player in its home country, right? Jolt is known for its high ethical standards and towards its workers, suppliers, and environment, and has voluntarily published corporate source sustainability report for many years, right? So how we are working in a sustainably, how we are working, that's basically something which they are publishing. And probably because in some areas, some regions, customers actually prefer the organizations who actually are working like this, who are working in a sustainable manner. So probably that is a way this company is using, to attract the customer. But let's see what's next. Jolt is organized into traditional functional departments such as procurement, finance, and sales, most of which have their own unreliable spreadsheet based system for planning and reporting. For planning means budgeting, and reporting means to report what they are doing. As a result, Jolt often fail to produce accurate, timely, and consistent data to monitor its own performance, which contribute to failure in achieving the performance targets set by its retail customers, right? So in this section, the basic introduction has been given, and this is the norm. Initially, the examiner gave you the basic idea what the company is doing. um, Now let's move ahead. Developments in Jolt's market. Jolt's market is seasonal and competitive. So both statements are important. We may have to consider it later. Seasonal means you may experience some unexpected demand, and competitive is obviously there's a lot of competition. Retailers who are Jolt's customer for both swimwear and cycling clothing have two key demands. So now you can connect it. What the examiner wants you to do, you have to write BPR improvements with respect to two key demands of its retail customers. So probably this is something which you are looking at. In cycling cloth sorry Retailers who are also Jolt customer for both swimwear and cycling clothing have two key demands. They want lower prices, number one, to pass to consumers, and they have also required suppliers to meet performance target relating to lead times and quality. So your customer actually wants you to provide two things. The first thing they want you to do is to provide them products with lower prices, and the second thing which they want is improvements in lead times, and probably they want you to meet the required lead time and obviously the quality. So these are three areas which is the basic key requirements from your customer. To help them comply with retailers' demand, JOLT's competitor. Now, this is not the information of JOLT. This is its competitors' information. Because the same market they are operating, so obviously customers of all companies are the same. So demand is obviously same. JOLT's competitor have closed down all of their own manufacturing facilities and outsource all production to overseas suppliers who have much larger factories and lower cost. To mitigate the cost of shipping goods over long distances, the company competitors have invested in sophisticated software to consolidate orders so that each shipping container is completely full before dispatch from their suppliers, right? So the competitors are trying to have outsourced completely, and they are focusing because they are probably buying from overseas suppliers. So overseas suppliers means definitely there will be huge shipping costs. So they are trying their level best to consolidate orders and buying in bulk quantity, completely full quantity, so that they can reduce their cost. This is not companies doing, this is their competitors are doing. Purchase invoice processing is also automated. Now this is another part. Purchase invoice processing is also automated by the integration of information systems into the supplier's bespoke system. So they have integrated their systems to the supplier system. So this is basically the idea of market where the company is operating, right? Now what is the BPR proposal? The BPR proposal is, in order to reduce its cost, it has been proposed to outsource the manufacture of swimwear. So the company was actually manufacturing two products. The first product they were manufacturing was swimwear, and the second product which they were manufacturing were cycling clothing. So the company is trying to outsource only the manufacturing of swimwear, which is 50% of JOLT's total output, to a supplier which is 17,000 kilometers away. A comparison of the cost manufacturing and the cost of outsourcing swimwear is given in appendix number 1. So till now we know that company is also trying to outsource. The only problem can be that the supplier is 17,000 kilometers away. Probably it's the same issue that the company is outsourcing it to overseas supplier, but nothing sort of something has been given till here. We have to see what is given in appendix number 1. We will see it later. This will mean that staff from JOLT's functional department will reorganize into multidisciplinary teams, each serving major customers' account. Each team will perform all aspects of account management, from taking sales order and procurement through to arrange shipping and after sales services. Team members dealing with customers will work in JOLT's home country, while those managing quality of and supplier audit will work closely to the manufacturing side. So probably you will be having two sub teams. One will work with a customer who is in the same region, and the other one will work on some with the supplier, obviously in order to make sure the quality, because they will perform some quality some audit, supplier audit. Teams will be given greater autonomy to selling prices to reflect the market conditions, right? Many support staff will work in unfamiliar roles or to be offered new jobs overseas after the reorganization. So this is quite unusual information which is given here, but I mean this is came from nowhere. This information came, but maybe it's important, so we'll see it later. A consultant has advised JOLT that outsourcing and reorganizing proposal has characteristics of re-engineered processes and could be described as business process re-engineering, right? So someone has advised you. Probably you need to think whether this is correct or incorrect. She advised that as well as evaluating how BPR will improve its business performance in meeting its customer demand. What will the customer demand? Lower the pricing, quality and lead time. and requirement JOLT should take into account any development in information systems which may be required. What was the current problem? The current problem was that the company was operating in some standardized spreadsheet that was given here, probably, yeah, unreliable spreadsheet base, right? So they are saying that maybe the company will be needing some development in IT system which may be required, as well as the ethical aspects of the proposed changes, right? So this is basically the overall question. The question has been split into three areas. The first area is actually representing the basic introduction, right? And some information about the employees, some information about the ethics, how the company is publishing its ethics, and then there was something related to the IT structure, that what company is doing. Company is following some traditional functional departments and is actually experiencing certain issues regarding the consistency, timeliness, and accuracy of data, which is actually creating problems with respect to the performance target. And then the company, and then the second paragraph, the company, the competitor information is given, that how the competitor has changed its strategy by purchasing from overseas supplier. And what they are trying to do, they are trying to mitigate the cost of shipping. So the competitor is trying to reduce the cost of shipping, and they are trying to do it by buying whole quantity of raw material, right? And they have also invested in some IT system. What the company is trying to do, company is trying to outsource 50% of the swimwear product, I mean swimwear product, which is the 50%, to someone which is for 17,000 kilometers away, and they are trying to reorganize into multidisciplinary fields, which will be, there will be two parts. The first part will be, will stay in the home country, and the second one will go and work along with the suppliers, right? And the company is and there's another issue, that they may be offered some unfamiliar roles, right? So this is the summary. Now let's move to appendix number 1. Let's see what is given in appendix number 1. Okay, so this is appendix number 1, and what information in here is, manufacturing data is given, what the company is doing, right? That manufacturing data is given, and outsourcing data is given. And what the question suggests is that material cost is 1.85, labor cost is 2.2, factory overhead is 0.95, and purchase cost from supplier is just 3.5. So what the cost company is bearing, around $5 cost, and outsourcing cost will be around 3.5. So apparently it seems that company will save $1.5 per unit of swimwear. Achha, here I would like to, there are two ways to represent such figures. I mean, the first way is to tell the examiner that, look, the company will be able to save $1.5 per unit, right? But the important point is that $1.5 saving, if the company is making a product for $1,000 and company will be able to save $1.5, that saving will not matter. But if the company is manufacturing initial product at $5 and then company is expected to save 1.5 out of $5, it's a huge saving. So you need to calculate what percentage the company will save with respect to $5, right? So that will give you a better idea regarding it. And this is around, I think, 30%. So 30% cost saving apparently seems to be too much, but we need to consider the other areas which are given here. Note number 1, 2 and 3. Try to pause this video and see and try to think for a while that do you really think this is going to be the saving? Try to pause this video and think. Read point number 1, 2 and 3. All right, so purchase cost of the first one is this one, and it says that purchase cost of outsourced product is translated into dollars from supplier's home country. So this is confirming that the supplier is definitely an overseas supplier, right? And the second point is here, this one, right? Second, it's saying that in addition to the purchase cost from the supplier, which means in excess of these $3.5, um, the JOLT must pay. So must is usually not used by the examiner. Must means you don't have any other option, right? You have to do that. So you will very I mean it's very rare that you will find such words in examiner in the question, and you should not write unless and until that there's that there is no option left. You must not write the word must in your answer. JOLT must pay for shipping costs at the rate of 5,000 for each large standard size shipping container, right? Regardless of the number of units in it. Each container hold 10,000 units when fully loaded. So what comes to your mind when you read this? Yes, exactly. I mean, five, $5,000 is the cost of container, and 10,000 units we can ship. That means the shipping cost will be around 0.5. So 3.5 is the overall cost, and if you add 0.5 in it, you will get $4 per unit, right? So $4 per unit means now initially you were manufacturing this product at, so the company was expecting to get same manufacturing the product at $5 per unit, but this extra cost of transportation, which is a must thing, will reduce this gap to $1. And $1 means 1 upon 5 will give you around 20%. Your saving will be 20%. And there's one more thing. If this $0.5 will only, $5.5 per unit will be in the case if the container is fully loaded. But if container is not fully loaded, then this per unit cost will further increase, right? So this is another thing, right? And what is point number 3 saying? Due to changes in international trade tariffs expected in the near future. This has not been done, but we are expecting this. Swimwear import into JOLT home country will be subject to 10% of import duty on the cost of import excluding shipping cost. So what else we can expect? $4 plus 10% of the purchase price, which is 0.35. So further we can expect that the cost will further increase to 4.35. So reducing this gap further, so 5 minus 4.35 will leave, I think will be 0.65. So now the company will be able to save only 0.65 upon 5, which is approximately, I think just a second, which is 13% of $5 cost. So the saving is going to be only 13%, right? So it's really very important to see how many units the company will buy, because that will give you the magnitude. But apart from these two things, just pause this video and try to think what other factors regarding cost we can consider, because these things are apparently given in the question. So obviously majority of the students will be able to cover such things, right? But what else we can propose to the company that look, you have to consider these facts as well. Try to pause this video and think for it. Alright, so technically, you should be concerned, you should show concern regarding two more things, right, as far as cost is concerned. The first thing which you need to discuss is, since the company is purchasing from the other company, from supplier who is not in the same country, so there is a risk of, so there is a foreign currency risk involved, right? So I mean, when you are writing the proposal, when you are evaluating an option, you must tell the company that look, the margin is quite low. There is a very low margin. So if you have to make sure that this is not the situation, because obviously, see, organizations know how what are the economic conditions of any country and how it will move in the coming time period. So that is something which should be looked at. One thing which is really very important here is that, which usually I think student will miss, is the $0.95 cost, because this factory cost the question is saying that these are the factory overheads, right? And this has not been mentioned whether this factory overhead is a fixed cost or a variable cost. So in case it's a variable cost, the company will save it. But let's suppose it's not a fixed cost, it's a variable cost. Sorry, it's a variable cost, then you can save it. But if it's a fixed cost, then that means this will not be saved, rather it will be allocated to some other to other product, like the cycling product. So it's really very important for the organize for anyone to know that what is the current situation of the $0.95. So in next lecture, I mean in the next video, I will be discussing this cost part and the other two things. So till now, try to make a summary of what we did, and then we move to the next lecture in order to have an idea how to solve these things, right? Thank you.